On number 16, we are looking to find the slope of the line, and when I'm taking a look at it, I can tell by the picture that it has negative slope, and I can also see that all of my choices have negative slope also. So it's not going to be helpful for me to try to eliminate choices. So what I can do is I could do two things. I see 2 points that are marked on the graph here, so -4, 2 is one of them in the upper left-hand corner, and in the bottom right-hand corner they've labeled 6, -4. So using that information, I can use the slope formula, which we know is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so we could use that. And if I were to do that, I would get m equals, and in the numerator, -4 minus 2, and in the denominator, 6 minus -4. So just be careful of your signs, and you're going to get -6 over 6 minus a -4 is the same as 6 plus 4, so that would be 10. Again, it's still not matching any of my choices, but I can reduce this fraction, -6 over 10, by a factor of 2. So divide the top by 2 and I get -3, divide the bottom by 2 and I get 5. So I can see then that my answer is going to be G. A second way to solve this problem would be to look at the 2 points and determine the rise over the run. We know it's negative, but I can see that it's going to fall 6 units this way and run 10 units this way. So you can get the same answer, you still have to reduce at the end. Number 23 is a proportion problem, and if you have similar triangles, you can set them up as a proportion. I can make a couple of, I can set it up several ways. I can keep the height of the little triangle over the length or the base of the little triangle is equal to the height of the big triangle over the base of the big triangle. I could set it up that way. I could have also set it up as height over height equals base over base. So either way you could set it up. Once I have it set up, whichever equation that you use, you're going to cross multiply. So when I cross multiply this way, I get 4x. And when I cross multiply this way, I have to use parentheses so that I remember to distribute. And so my next step is distribution. So 3 times 3x is 9x. And don't forget to multiply all the way through when you distribute. All right, now I'm going to move the 9x over so I get the x's together. You could have chosen to move the 4x either way. So now I've got a negative because I didn't pick the smaller one, but that's okay. -5x is equal to -3, and divide both sides by -5. And so what I've got here is x is equal to a negative divided by a negative, which is positive, so that's 3/5. Now I can grid in 3/5. If I do, the fraction bar gets its own grid box, or I could choose to divide that, in which case I'm going to do in my calculator the top number 3, the numerator, divided by 5, the bottom or denominator, which is equal to 0.6. So I could have gridded that as well. All right, on number 26, we have a student who has needs to get a 75 to get a C in the course, and they give you his 3 averages, and they want to know about the 4th test score. Now, we practiced one of these earlier with 5, so this one is going to be to find the average. You're going to add them all up, divide by 4, and we want it to be at least 75. So what I would do is set it up. So 71 plus 82 plus 76 plus the last score, I don't know what it is, so I'll call it x, all over 4. I want to know what he has to get at least a 75. I could set up an inequality, but I'm just going to set it equal to 75. That'll give me the minimum. So for me to solve this from here, I'm going to first multiply both sides of this equation by 4. So when I multiply the left side by 4 and the right side by 4, these 4's on the left are going to cancel, and that leaves me with 71 plus 82 plus 76 plus x is equal to 75 times 4. Notice that the 4 on the left went away, so 75 times 4 is 300. And next step is going to be to combine like terms on the left-hand side. All these numbers are like terms. They're all constants. So 71 plus 82 plus 76 gives me a total of 229 plus x equals 300. And then my last step is to subtract 229 from 300, and I get 71. So 71 is the score that he needs on the 4th test to get an average of a C in the class. Okay, for number 28, you're going to look at a universal set, which is given first, and then they give you some subsets, x, y, and z. And in this problem, we are dealing with the intersection both times, and I just want to give you a little reminder that the union is the u, the intersect is the upside down u. This is the union is the one that you show at either set, which isn't going to come up in this problem, but this one, the intersection, is elements that appear in both sets. So what I need to do first is find the intersection of z and y. So looking at that, z intersect y is equal to, it looks to me like the only thing that shows up in both sets are f and m. So again, I was looking for elements that showed up in both. Now what I need is to find the complement of that. So I go to my universal set and I look at the universal set, and what's in the universal set that is not, that besides f and m, because I'm looking for the complement. So that would be C, E, F, I'm going to skip, H, J, and P. That's my complement. Now I'm going to look at x. I'm just going to write it underneath here because it's easier, I think, if you can line them up and kind of get an idea that way. There's my x. All I did was copy it. But what I'm going to do now is find the intersection of these two sets. So I want things that appear in both of those sets. So that looks like, to me, J appears in both and P appears in both. So that would be JP, which is choice I. Okay, number 29 is a vertical, or I'm sorry, a horizontal line that goes through the y-axis at y equals 4. And what we would know is that this has an equation of y equals 4. The only choice that would match that is choice D, y minus 4 equals 0, because if I solve for y there, I do end up with y equals 4. For number 31, we have two things going on. You're going to need to substitute -2, -1, and 0 into the function and then determine which one is the greatest. So I'm going to do that off to the side. Here I have x squared minus 7 is my function. And I want to substitute in first, I want to substitute in -2. -2 squared is positive 4. And so that gives me -3. Second, so that was -2. Second one I'm going to do is -1. So I'm going to plug in -1 squared minus 7. And negative 1 squared is positive 1 minus 7, which gives negative 6. So since the question is what is the greatest element in the domain, so far 2 is greater than negative. When I plug in negative 2, I get negative 3, which is greater than negative 6. So it's not this one so far. And then the last one that I'm going to check is when x is 0, what is y? So I plug in 0 square it minus 7, and I get 0 squared, which is 0, minus 7, which gives a result of negative 7. So again, negative 7 is less than negative 3, and so the greatest element in the range is going to be negative 3, because remember that the range is the y value, and these guys that I was plugging in, those were the x values, and what I was finding here were range values, the greatest of which was negative 3. For number 32, we are looking for which of the following relations is not a function, and so I'm going to look at my domain values, and if a domain value repeats, so you're looking at the x values, if the domain value repeats, then you're going to want to check to make sure that it doesn't go to more than one place. So I kind of see like part D, choice D, as having only one domain value. So if I were to put this in a mapping diagram, here's my 3, and my range values are 0, 1, 2, and 3. And when I map it, 3 goes to 0, 3 goes to 1, 3 goes to 2, 3 goes to 3. This is not a function because that domain value is going to multiple places. So this one is not a function. Remember, to be a function, a domain value can have exactly one y value, not 4, not 2, exactly 1. For number 35, we have an equation hidden inside a word problem, and the question is, how many electoral votes does Florida have? So I want to make sure that when I solve for x, that represents the number of electoral votes, and I can see that right here in the paragraph right above the equation. So I think I'm good to go. I'm just going to go ahead and start. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start solving this, and I get x plus 2 times x minus 6 plus 2x plus 1 equals 124 on the right. So when I distribute, I get x plus 2x, 2 times negative 6 is negative 12, plus, and then on this section here, there's nothing to distribute because there's only a positive 1 out front, so you can just remove the parentheses, no problem. And that's equal to 124. And now I'm going to be combining like terms. So I see 1, 2, 3 terms right here. 1, 2, 3 terms with x on the left. So I have x plus 2x, that's 3x, plus 2 more x, that's going to give me 5x. And then I have negative 12 plus 1, that's going to be negative 11. And now add 11 to both sides. And I get 5x equals 124 plus 11. And I get 135. Divide both sides by 5. And I get x equals 27. So do go back and check to make sure that it makes sense. Like the 27 is what you're asked about, and we did do some thinking about that at the beginning, so I think we're good. Okay, number 37 is write a function rule, and this is the one where you have to do, they're using f of x, we've been using y, that's okay. You're going to find the slope first. So let me just use blue for this question. The slope, I'm going to look at these 2 points. I'm going to look at the point 1, 2, which I got right here from the table, and I'm going to look at the point 2, 5. Okay, and I'm going to also from the table right in the second column here. So now first I'm going to find the slope between those 2 points. So that's going to be m equals, and it's going to be 5 minus 2, my y value is on top, and on the bottom 2 minus 1. So this slope is equal to 3 on top and 1 on the bottom, so that it reduces to just 3. So when I'm looking at my choices, I can see that right away I can see that the answer is I, because I have a positive 3 for a slope, and the only one of those that has positive 3 for a slope is I. But I do want to show you how to find the negative 1. To find the negative 1, that's if you think about y equals mx plus b, that is the b value. So that's what I need to figure out is what's b. So if I use, I'll choose to use this point that I started with, 1, 2. Then y is 2, so I'm going to substitute that in right here. Y is 2. M I just found, m is 3. And going back to my point, x has a value of 1, and b is what I'm trying to discover. So I get 2 is equal to 3 times 1, which is 3, plus b. And when I solve for b, I subtract 3 from both sides, and I get negative 1 equal to b. And so that's how I can find the b value as well. If I had more than one choice with positive 3 as a slope, I would be forced to find the b value and know what that was.